I've built over 100 websites on high level for my clients, and in this video I'm going to share with you the 7 lessons that I've learned throughout this whole process. I'm going to share with you common mistakes, how to fix them so you can actually build a website for yourself or your clients that actually gets results. Okay, so as I've already mentioned, I've built over 100 websites for my clients, and I'm going to share with you what I've learned throughout this whole process. And to give you some context, I've been building websites on high level since 2022. I'm going to share with you common mistakes that I did when I was first starting out, mistakes that I see all the time with other GHL agency owners and businesses that have websites on high level, how to fix them, and in general, how to build a website that helps you get more clients or be able to sell websites for clients that get them more results. So with that out of the way, if you don't know who I am, I run a web design agency and have been building websites on high level since 2022. I've helped over 150 people with their GHL websites. And if you take a look at this right here, I have over 40 positive 5-star Google reviews. So you know what I'm about to show you actually makes sense and is something that I've implemented in my own business and I've helped other agencies implement in their businesses as well. So the first lesson that I have for you today is that clients don't want websites, they want results. I've said this a lot of times, but I keep coming across agencies that are not positioning themselves in such a way where they're able to sell and charge for websites that are high price and actually solve or deliver a result for a client. The thing you need to understand is that clients care about more booked calls, more leads, having more trust with their clients, or leaving a professional first impression. So there's a clear distinction between the dream outcome and how we're going to achieve this dream outcome for them. So a mistake that I've done in the past and some mistakes that I see other agency owners do is that they focus too much on the tech, on the visuals, and not tying their website or their work, their results to a business outcome. So this is very important. So a tip that I have for you right here, if you're struggling to sell websites or charge higher prices, is you want to sell a booking, a trust, or a conversion system, something that actually delivers something for a business and not just a website. And to give you some examples right here, you see that on Fiverr, all of these guys right here, the way that they market themselves is by saying something like this: I'll build you a professional and responsive custom built website or AI website, whatever it may be. You see that the prices that they have are very, very cheap. Just imagine building an entire website from scratch for $100, $15 as you see right here, $70. It's going to take you a long time or a lot of websites to be able to scale. And this is just not scalable, which is why these guys are stuck as freelancers and we GHL web design agency owners want to stay away from that. I saw this ad on Google, which I thought was or Facebook, which I thought was very cool. And the way that they're branding their solution is by showing a problem and sharing how this system or this thing that they're offering could save them time, book them more jobs, and so on. So you see that it's more booked jobs. And the way that they do it is with voice AI and conversations AI. The cool thing is something that I couldn't screenshot right here, but part of their marketing and the way that they were marketing their services is with this sentence right here that identifies a specific problem and talks about a specific result that they would like to achieve. So book that $30,000 job that you missed after hours or past 9 p.m. So again, just make sure that how you position yourself is in such a way that you're delivering outcome. The website is just a vehicle and not just a website like this beginner web design owners right here. And that's something that I did in the past as well. The second thing that I learned is that speed is better than perfection. So you want to launch fast and then optimize later. And what I mean by this is that you want to make sure that when you have a website or a client, the faster you launch, you're going to create more momentum, and in your client's eye is going to be perceived as higher value. Just imagine in the same way that when you order something online and it takes 3 weeks versus the next day, people are willing to pay more for the fact that they get it the next day. So in other words, people pay for speed, for results. And in this case, a mistake that I see a lot of the times and something that I used to do in the past as well is getting stuck over perfect design. So just spending days, weeks just trying to make everything look exactly beautiful without actually publishing the site. The thing is that at the end of the day, there's no such thing as a perfect design. So a tip that I have for you right here, and I'm going to share with you a story in just one sec, but the tip is that launch a proven MVP, which is a minimum viable product, and then do refinements after you launch. And the way that you do this is you're going to do this based on the data. So let's say you launch a website and you find that you have great ads, but people are not booking. So this could be due to a wide variety of reasons. In this case, what I would do as a web design agency owner would be as what are things that we're missing on this website? What are things that we could make it so that it's more likely that somebody, once they've seen the marketing or the offer from the ad, they're on this website now, but they're not booking. So the thing is, we can only do these decisions once we've already launched and we start looking at the data. So again, make sure that you prioritize speed over perfection. I had this conversation with an agency owner that told me, Rico, I have my website almost ready. I spent like 3 weeks or like a month trying to get it ready, but I'm just not sure if this is the right offer, or I'm just not sure if how I want to position myself right now is what I would like to do in the future. But the thing is, because of the fact that not only has he not published his website, in a way, not publishing his website was kind of like a excuse to not go ahead and execute and get more clients, even if he had the best product or best service, because he hadn't actually launched, nobody could find out about it. And it's the same thing when you're doing this for clients. They'll definitely value the fact that you are able to deliver things faster, and you as an agency owner don't get caught up with speed. Something that I like to think about is this analogy by Naval Ravikant. If you don't know who it is, I'm gonna put a photo in screen right now. But what he says is that you want to make sure that you solve fast via iteration. So what this means is, let's say in our specific case as web designers, we have a website and it's not getting the results that we would like. What I would do is launch right away, and then once we've launched, start making tweaks to see what is it what's working and what is it that's not. What's working, let's do more of that, and what's not working, let's remove it for the website, and so on. Once we find something that is working and is giving us the results that we want, then we can go ahead and scale. In this case would be get paid via repetition. So if you have a website that you launch right away and you make a few tweaks, and once you finally made the tweaks in such a way that it's getting you the results that you want with the benchmark and conversion that you want, then you could go ahead and send more traffic to that website. So it could be cranking up the ad budget, or in another scenario, let's say that you've built a perfect website for your niche. Let's say you're an agency focusing or targeting a specific niche. Once you have this proven website, what you can do is then focus on prioritizing speed and selling that to as many customers as you can. So again, the key takeaway right here is speed over perfection, execution over overthinking. The third lesson that I've learned after building over 100 websites on high level is that without a clear CTA, your website is a waste. So let me just explain what I mean. Let's say you have the best offer, the best design, but your prospect doesn't know how to get in touch with you or how to get more of what you're promising on the website. They don't know what to do next, or the button is hidden. It's gonna make it so that they're unsure of what you do, which is gonna make it so that they don't take the next step, and you will lose that lead. So a mistake that I see right here is hiding your CTAs. And what I mean by this is putting your buttons like very low on your website, or making it very hard for somebody to actually see them. Or even if you do have call to actions that stand out and are easy to understand, you're using weak or generic copy, which doesn't encourage a prospect to click on that button and take the next step. As a tip right here, what I recommend is having a one strong call to action that is above the fold on your website. And what I mean by this is when somebody first lands on your site, you have this big button that they can see and click without having to scroll at all. And of course, once you have that button right there, as they keep scrolling, you have that same action. If it was booked now, you have that same action throughout the rest of your website, like you're seeing on this beautiful website right here. Something else to keep in mind is avoid having something that's very generic, like in this case, learn more, and have something that's in first person and present tense. So start my free trial now, download my PDF now, and so on. The fourth lesson that I've learned is that design alone doesn't convert, but it supports everything. So what I mean by this is that design, what it does is that it creates trust, clarity, flow, and that is going to support your offer and help you increase conversion. So this does not replace having a good offer. Of course, you need to have a good offer, present your prospects with a compelling reason for them to take the next step, work with you, and so on. But let's say that you had a great offer like you see on screen right now, but if the website looks fake, it's gonna make it so that you decrease the trust that a prospect has. It makes it less clear, or they can't even read it because the way that you've presented everything just looks bad. So what we're doing with a good web design on our website is to support our offer and make it easier and more clear for a prospect to take the next step, build more trust, which at the end of the day is going to increase our conversions and help us make more money for ourselves and for our clients. Now, here's the thing. A mistake that I see right here with a lot of GHL agency owners that are building websites on high level is that they think that design is just about how something looks. So just adding like a bunch of effects, all that stuff, and not how or what it communicates. So for instance, for different industries or niches, the type of website that you have is going to be very different. For a restaurant, the type of website that you build for them is going to be very different than the type of website that you build, let's say, for a home service niche. And it's the same thing for a SaaS company. So what you wouldn't do is take the design of a SaaS website and then trying to implement that, let's say, for a cleaning company. It's just not gonna work because the design is not congruent with the niche. And more tactical terms right here, so of course make sure that you choose the right design for the right type of industry, is that you focus on using clean spacing, clear fonts, visual flow to make everything easier to understand, make it easy for your prospect to trust you, and encourage action. So you see here, I have 2 photos, and I've seen a lot of high-level websites that look like this. A lot of different colors, the spacing is not consistent, different fonts, there's no hierarchy, and essentially, even if they have a good offer, they're just shooting themselves in the foot by not organizing how they present this offer and everything else in such a way that's easier for a prospect to understand. So again, design alone doesn't convert, but it supports everything. Number 5 is going to be a little bit more specific for agencies, and it's that revisions kill profit. So what you want to do is solve it with systems. So just back and forth with clients about website revisions, the color of logos, buttons, all that stuff is going to take away your time, your headspace, and at the end of the day, if it's like an unlimited back and forth, it's going to eat up to your profit. So something that you charge, let's say, $3,000 for 2 weeks of work, but if it ends up taking you double the time or triple the time, you've pretty much half or like dropped your margins by like more than 50%. So you definitely want to make sure that you don't do that. A common mistake that I see right here, and something that I used to do in the past as well, is letting clients dictate the structure of the project. So from the design to the development of the website to how revisions go, or even have clients send you endless edit requests without boundaries or setting clear expectations. And you do this from the beginning. So what I suggest you do is that you use templated intake and onboarding processes. So this could be like sending a Notion where they can just fill out information, or a high-level form or a type form, whatever it may be. And also in the sales call, setting clear expectations as to the scope of the project, what is included, what is not included, how many revisions can they take, what the deliverables are, what the terms of the project are, all this stuff to avoid pain or misunderstandings further in the project. So the key to a successful project with a client, whether it's a website or anything else, is having good, clear expectations from the beginning. And I have a story here about how in the past there was this client that told me, hey, I love that you're building my website. Can I just add you on WhatsApp so that we're in touch? At the time, I thought it was fine. I was like, sure, like I'll just give you my number and we can connect over chat instead of email. And initially it was fine. We were just sending back and forth for like getting the copy, the images and all that stuff. But when it came down to revisions, he started sending a lot of messages about how he wanted his website, the different changes. And as I was changing stuff, like not even being done with the first set of changes that he gave me, he was already suggesting more changes, which wouldn't really work with the first set of changes. So this was something that I really didn't like at all. It made the process of building this website a lot longer. And at the end of the day, because I didn't set clear expectations when I told him like, no, it's time to stop, he just didn't understand why, because we hadn't actually set clear expectations and deliverables from the beginning. So what you want to do is have a structured process. So step 1, we're going to collect your logos, images, all that stuff. Step 2, I'm going to build your website. Step 3, we're going to do revisions. And then let's say step 4 is we're going to implement our AI agent or whatever it is that you're offering with your systems to this client. And as you're doing this, you make sure that you go over what's included, what's not included, and what happens if the client wants something extra and all that stuff, to avoid pain and just make sure that it's a great experience for both the client and yourself from the beginning when you're building that website. The 6th step right here is that mobile, spacing, and copy are 80% of the battle in terms of the design. So what I mean by this is that if a prospect cannot read your website, the content, what you're offering, to learn more about your business, this has to be fixed, because otherwise you're just shooting yourself in the foot. Clean copy and layout are more important than animations and custom effects. You've probably noticed that when I have a website that I'm showing on a video or one of my agency templates, I don't just add the 35 effects that I have in my Notion doc into each website. I'm trying to be very strategic as to why I add each effect. And if I add that effect, there has to be a purpose. So if it's just distracting the user experience, then I remove it. So prioritize the spacing, how everything looks, the layout, the copy that you're using. And then of course, a mistake that I see a lot of the times is designing a website only for desktop and ignoring things like padding, hierarchy, and flow on mobile, which I'm gonna show you on the screen in just one sec. What you can do is make sure that you preview each section, image, or button on various screen devices. So it could be desktop, tablet, mobile. And a story that I have right here is that there was this GHL agency owner that I saw did a post on a Facebook group. He was pitching his services, his offer, and he said, by the way, here's my website if you want to learn more. Now in this post, there was like, let's say 10 comments. And out of those comments, 4 or 5 of them, I think, were talking about the fact that they just couldn't see what he was offering. Hey, it seems like your website is down, or hey, I want to get in touch, but I'm just not able to do this. So before you send the website to a client or publish it or like start running ads to it, just make sure that you've covered the basics. How does it look like on mobile? Is the spacing good? Is there a coherent flow and the spacing makes it in such a way that it's easy for a prospect to read and keep scrolling? Do you have good copy? A mistake that I see on a lot of GHL websites is that when they have sections like columns, rows, things like this, they never add padding here on the sides or even the top. And this is not only for mobile, but it's more noticeable on mobile, I've seen. So instead of doing what I'm showing you right now, just take a look at this right now. You see how much better and easier it is to read. This is one of my GHL SaaS templates again. So you see that this website I've built in such a way that not only looks beautiful on desktop, but I spend time making it sure that it looks good on mobile as well. And the way that I do this is that I make sure that the spacing, the layout, the flow, the copy, the images that I'm using are in such a way that they enhance the user experience and not making worse by distracting people or making it harder for them to stay on this website. Now, something as simple as the size of the buttons on mobile is going to be important as well. So you see right here that because of the fact that this guy right here, let's say this was a website with very small buttons, are so hard to click, it's going to make it so that somebody's going to have a lot of trouble. And if they have to try 2 to 3 times to try to click that button, you're just going to notice a drop in the conversions. However, you see that here in this case, the buttons are easy to click, they're big, you can read them and so on. So those are things that after building 100 websites, I've come to learn and mistakes that I continue to see on a lot of GHL websites. The last lesson that I wanted to share with you after building 100 websites for clients in high level is that you want to productize your delivery because that's the only way to grow. And going back to what I showed you in the first version, where there's a difference between freelancers and business owners, what I've noticed is that freelancers, they don't have systems and they have to do every custom build from scratch. So whether it was a website, like I'm talking about in this video specifically, or any sort of GHL service, they always build from scratch. We are business owners. We're not freelancers. So what we need to do is make sure to scale by productizing and building systems. If we design every time from scratch, it's going to be harder to build more websites and serve more clients, and at the end of the day, make more profit in our agency. So a mistake that I see is, and I used to do in the past, is treating each website as a brand new project with a unique structure, copy, design, layout, all that stuff, pretty much like reinventing the wheel for each client. A tip, and this is huge by the way, build assets that you can reuse. Let's say that you service a specific niche, let's say lawyers or dentists. You have a proven template for a lawyer. Then you can just duplicate that template and offer it to other lawyers. So you're just productizing what you've just created. So it could be niche specific templates. It could be pre-built sections, plug and play effects like my Notion docs. So in here, what I realized in my own agency, after I started getting more clients, and my bottleneck was not sales but fulfillment, I needed to come up with ways to productize my delivery to be able to keep scaling. So going back to what that saying of Naval Ravikant, solve via iteration. So yes, in the beginning, like I did, I spent a lot of time building my own website templates, and then that I'm going to use for my clients. After that, I get paid by repetition. So I can sell and deploy one of these templates for a client in minutes. As I already mentioned, clients care about results, not a website. So if this website that you spent a lot of time building in the past, you can just deploy for a client and bring them results, that's what they're going to value. I have two type of agencies that I keep coming across with different conversations and on my YouTube channel. So the first one is somebody that knows how to sell. Like I've had a lot of agency owners that say, Rico, I know how to sell, but I just don't know how to fulfill websites. So my bottleneck is the fulfillment of the websites. I just cannot fulfill as fast enough as I'm selling. So in this case, what this agency owner could do is spend some time building something that they can easily fulfill. In my case, I have all of my sell and deploy templates that I've used, which by the way, you can click in the description as a shameless plug. But once you have this proven templates, you can just deploy them for your clients. The other type of agency that I keep coming across is somebody that has all of the AI systems. I had conversations where they say, Rico, I am a wizard at automations, or I am an expert at SEO. I'm an expert at SMS marketing, like whatever it may be. They're very like, Rico, I know you're better than me. And if you're watching this video, you're a GHL owner, you might already be better than me in all of these. But the problem that they have is that they want to package this in a nice way. And the way that they do this would be with a nice website. So again, the solution in this case would be to spend some time building like a front, which would be the website templates. And then once you have these websites, you can take all of your proven systems, your automations, SMS marketing, AI agents, SEO strategies, and then be able to sell and deploy this as a system where the front end would be the website and the back would be the rest of your systems, if that makes sense. So those are the 7 lessons that I've learned after building over 100 websites on high level for my clients. If you're an agency owner that sells websites to businesses on high level, you can take my entire sell and deploy website fulfillment system, which took me months to build, and sell it to your own clients, be able to offer these websites. Even if you're not a web design pro, you don't have time to build websites from scratch, and you don't want to code from scratch. This is perfect to be able to scale your agency, like I was just mentioning on this last point. There's been agency owners like you that took my sell and deploy website system, started upselling their clients and fulfilling faster. So if this interests you, click the link in the description and start selling and deploying websites to your clients.